Hello and welcome. Oil prices have been jumping significantly, as much as 5%, after the Trump administration slapped additional sanctions on Russia's two largest oil companies, while the US Treasury Department has said they were doing so because of Russia's, and I quote, lack of serious commitment to end the Ukraine war. Russian President Putin has, in the meantime, said that the latest US sanctions targeting the two major oil firms, in quotes, were serious but not strong enough to significantly affect the economy. Now, as far as the India impact is concerned, sources have told NDTV Profit that India sees limited impact from the US sanctions on Russian oil firms. But really, to decode all of this and what really do the impact of these additional sanctions mean, both on India and the world, I am joined by Peter McGuire, CEO, AustraliaTrading.com, someone who's been analyzing the oil market very closely for decades now. To all those wondering, look, please decode what the latest US sanctions on Russian oil mean, and is this coming across as a fresh escalation then from the US?
Well, good afternoon, I should say, Sakshi, and wishing everyone a wonderful Diwali. I was trying to think, well, is it afternoon or morning where you are? But it's afternoon and it's evening in Sydney, and so I wish everyone well. We've got to be very conscious what we've seen in the last 36 hours since this announcement as far as the sanctions are concerned on Russian crude. And remember, there's Rosneft and Lukoil. Rosneft is Russian-owned, it's the government-owned, and Lukoil is a private enterprise. So there's that part of it. The second part is, of course, that we've seen a dramatic increase in crude prices over this 36-hour window, up 5 or 6, nearly 7% at some stage. And you've got NYMEX WTI running now just on $62 a barrel. And you've got Brent trading at about $66.15. So we're talking $4 or $5 moves over that short window of time, which is just dramatic. So we were in a downdraft earlier in the week to midweek, and then all of a sudden this has had a great impact as far as price. And that's a true indicator or barometer of the current circumstances. It's a premium built in from a geopolitical side. And these are the uncertainties that always present themselves to the oil markets, Sakshi.
So that really is what you're saying, that we have seen oil prices jump significantly post the US sanctions on Russian oil. And really, for all those wondering, look, how do you think this will then impact global supplies and prices going forward?
Well, I think first off, global supplies, we're very conscious as far as the contribution that Russia has to global oil and certainly to OPEC, and it's an elephant in the room. I mean, it's 10 or 11 million barrels a day of crude is nothing to be sneezed at. It's it's on par with Saudi Arabia as far as an economic powerhouse and supply to OPEC and OPEC plus, and then you've got, of course, the mighty US. Now, so this is an impact that could derail the OPEC situation. We've just got to see the longevity, and we've also got to be conscious as far as what the absolute strategy is of President Trump to impose these sanctions. And one would say that it's predominantly all about the Ukraine-Russia war. There are no other. I don't hear any other noise out there, or to say, well, there's other points. This is the whole reason why he's taken this aggressive stance. He wants to see an end to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So he's going to hold, as Jack Welch used to say, the famous CEO at GE, General Electric, hold their feet to the fire. He's going to hold President Putin's feet to the fire, and he's going to also, in some capacity, hold Zelensky's feet to the fire to get a result. And he's had a huge success over the last 8 or 9 months as far as wars being minimised or taken off the table. And he's not interested in anything other than success with this whole situation.
Right, so that's what you're sort of reading, Donald Trump's stance and the US stance as at the moment. But Peter, what does this mean for the world, and how do you think this will impact India? Although, in India's impact, as far as reports suggest and sources suggest, is limited thanks to the diversification in India's import basket. But what are your thoughts really on what this then means? This aggressive stance that you're terming as from the US then means for the world and for India.
Well, first off, for the world, let's see how long this drags out for.
Mhm.
Because from the momentum that I think President Trump's trying to create, and to really, this is all about deal tension. This is to create a deal. He is a deal maker, and the deal is he wants, as we've outlined, no further conflict between those two sides. So if this was to be wrapped up by Christmas, and I think that that's probably a timeline that he's going to work towards, then
Mhm.
that is the first point of it. Secondly, I recall in recent weeks and the conversations that he's had with Prime Minister Modi, and I'll stand corrected because I understand that there is no problem whatsoever to buy Russian crude once this war with Ukraine is over. Once the war is over, India is entitled to buy crude from whoever they want, and they've got a very strong strategic relationship with Russia. And I believe that that would be game on to
Mhm.
continue those purchases. But how that rolls forward, if you're looking at higher energy prices, which we certainly will be in the
Mhm.
short term, then this is all someone's going to pick up the slack. And as you mentioned very correctly, India has a large basket of who they buy oil from. And I
Mhm.
think that the way that the oil market is situated, I don't think India is going to have any real hardship. They'll be able to turn on a dime, as they say, to
Mhm.
buy from other suppliers. And there are other suppliers with excess capacity, and they'll fill the breach for India, I believe.
All right. Well, a lot really in wait and watch mode as far as the oil market is concerned at the moment. But thank you so much for sharing your initial thoughts on really the impact of the latest US sanctions on Russian oil, not just on India, but what this could mean globally as well. Thank you.
Thank you.